there, my name's Gill Tiney. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learnt an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. We found it. Hello, good and welcome to Being Human, Hidden Depths, the podcast by Collaboration Global. And I am Gill Tiney, the founder of said community, and I'm delighted to welcome one of our newer members, Mr. Paul Nicholls. Welcome, lovely to have you here, Paul.
Thanks, Gill. It's nice to be here, obviously. It's good.
I love having conversations with people that I've already spoken to a little bit, and I know a teeny bit here and a teeny bit there, but this is my chance to join all the dots and see what other things you've been up to, because I get the feeling you're a bit of an iceberg, that there's that little bit at the top that I know about, and there's all this underneath that we haven't discovered yet, in a good way, obviously. But I'm going to ask the question I ask most of our members. What brought you to Collaboration Global, and what made you go, I think I might like to join this weird and wonderful community?
Yeah, I'd heard a few things about you from a couple of people that I know,
Cool.
and your name kept coming up. And I very much believe in serendipity, things happening for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in collaboration, helping others, and the law of reciprocity, which took me a long time to learn how to say, but I understand the meaning of it
Yeah.
instinctively. It's something
Yeah.
I've always lived by. So over time, like I said, your name came up a few times, and then I saw you interviewing Harold. I forget what his surname is.
Asman.
Harold Asman
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, and a friend of mine, Mark Walmsley, flagged that up following a Facebook and LinkedIn rant I did at about 4 o'clock in the morning
I love those.
over my exasperation over the number of people that are desperate and lonely and don't believe in themselves and feel that they're worthless. And it just struck a chord. Like many things, you mean to follow something up, and I'd been meaning for a while to get in touch, find out more about Collaboration Global,
Mm.
and eventually I did. So there was a string of things kind of poking me in the head, saying, "Paul, have a look at
Yeah.
this."
Yeah, I love it. And it's this serendipity thing, isn't it? And you could sometimes you just can't ignore it. I've heard one or two people say they've met someone purely from a book falling off of a shelf and hitting them on the head. And they look at the book and they've never heard of the book before, but they see the author and they go, "Oh, I think I know him." And then, it's a
That's
lovely
crazy.
relationship that gets born from that. So
I
sometimes
wish
we
my
do
book
have.
would fall on people's heads and make them read it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So I'm glad you were nudged in our direction. It's good. And I agree with you. There are so many people out there that feel isolated and lonely, and nobody knows what it feels like to be me.
Mm,
And yet a lot of people do know what it feels like to be you.
mm,
And bringing what I love about Collaboration Global, and I'll say it again and again, is the amount of amazing people in the community that just go, "I'm nothing special. I just, who am I?" But they are. They've just got this depth and this quality and this lived life and experience. And they're taking that and turning it into something good to help as many people as they can, because they've been there and they've been hurt, or they've suffered, or they've come out the other end. And they're trying to make sure that other people don't have to suffer the same way that they did. So
mm.
you're in good company, my friend. You are in good company, and thank you so much for joining us, because it's you're already shining your light in so many different areas. So it's lovely to have you on board. Um, you kind of come wearing two hats, which is brilliant. And there's the sort of the day job, which you are brilliant at, and then there's also your passion. So tell us first about your passion. That's what always leads me to people and connects me to people. When I see them effervescing about what's the important thing in their life, barring friends and family, because that's kind of a different, that's on a different plateau
Mm.
to your passion. Tell us about your passion.
I have a few passions, and over time, I've spent long hours mulling over, working things out, really trying to understand what my purpose is, what my outer purpose is anyway, what my passion is. And I feel that it changes over time, but there has been a strong theme in my personal experience and in working with others, which really is about finding your passion,
Mm,
inspiring people to be able to pursue what they love and recognize their self-worth. And what that's translated into for me in practical terms is for me, my passion, which you may or may not know, is film and music,
oh,
creativity. That's what
yeah.
I always loved when I was younger. And I ended up in a completely different career to that, and eventually came around to being involved more in film and music, which I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about creativity. I feel deep connection and enjoyment when I'm involved
Mm,
in a creative project. And I spent some time running a small studio in London, and I met some amazing people, so talented, so creative. And something that was happening continuously was I was realizing that they were working another job
yeah.
as their full-time job, and their creative opportunities only came up every now and then.
Mm,
And I just thought to myself, I'd love to do something about that.
mm,
And over a long period of time, I eventually decided to start a social enterprise for children's mental health,
mm,
which is it's very much related to giving people when they're at a young age the information, the skills so that they can understand what they love, understand their own self-worth, understand what their passions are, to
mm,
give them the confidence to stay with that.
mm.
Um, a while back, I discovered the work of a guy called Sir Ken Robinson.
Love him. Yeah.
Amazing.
R.I.P.
I'd
Yeah.
not heard of him until I was 3 or 4 years into the social enterprise, and I discovered The Element, which is one of his books where he talks to and interviews many people
Mm,
about their epiphany moment, what inspired them, what took them on their journey, what helped them to really understand their element and become successful. And that very much mirrors the work that we're doing in helping children at a young age to recognize their own self-worth and to follow their passions. So at the heart of the Crystal Kingdom, we we use a middle grade fantasy novel. And that middle grade fantasy novel I wrote, it's called The Magical Secret of the Crystal Kingdom. And that came about from me wanting to follow my passion in creating another film. So at the time, I had this idea of creating a live action animation franchise.
wow.
And I was working on this by talking to my children who were 6 and 8 at the
Oh,
time.
imagination's like
Yeah. So
on
we
top
were
of
talking about
me.
animals, talking animals, evil kings and queens, and
Wonderful.
fantasy worlds. When I was little, my favorite story was I read loads when I was little. My favorite story was The Magic Faraway Tree.
Yes. Seen it, but
And
God bless me.
they've just turned it into a film, and I
I
think
know.
it's amazing. I think it's absolutely amazing. They did a
Haven't
great
seen it
job.
yet. Yeah.
And I wanted to incorporate those elements into the story, but also include positive reinforcement messages, coping mechanisms through the eyes of the characters in the film. And as I
Mm,
started writing it, I realized it lent very well to to a book. So I wrote it as a middle grade fantasy novel. I'm
Mm.
writing the sequel. I've been writing it for way too long. But I will eventually finish it. And so that was my passion. My
Mm.
children were of a huge inspiration to me. And by
Mm.
talking to them and seeing what they were grateful for and what they understood about life, even though life brings along challenges for all of us. And so I wove that into the text of the story,
Mm.
and that became eventually the foundation for the programs that we run through the Crystal Kingdom as a social enterprise. But the bigger picture is I want to make the film. That's
Yes,
for
I want
me.
to watch that film. I
That's
want
for
to
me.
see that movie. Okay. Oh, interesting. So one of our other podcast guests is a filmmaker. Have I put you in touch with him yet?
I'm not
John,
sure.
John, somebody. Well, I'll
Okay,
get back to you on that. Remind me.
sure.
Um, yeah, I mean, God bless Enid Blyton. She didn't have a great reputation as a mother, apparently. But when you look at movies like stories like Magic Faraway Tree and also Famous Five, she puts things in place to help them, like Timmy the dog in the Famous Five. You know, he
Mm,
was there for comfort when the children
mm,
were scared, and there are ways of seeing how they never sort of felt truly alone because they had each other, and it's this connection and this friendship that creates a bond that's stronger than anything. And I love what you're trying to do with the whole story, and the Crystal Kingdom is amazing. Yes, definitely want to see that movie. Presumably you got someone doing the music for it as well, which would be good.
Yes. Yeah,
Have
there's a
you?
whole side project which is integral, really relating to music.
And that feeds the soul in itself, doesn't it? I mean, so many people don't realize, and presumably that's why you know Mark Walmsley. Is it part of the Arts and Culture Network?
Yeah, again, Mark is another person who I don't know how we didn't connect a long
Yeah.
time ago. But someone suddenly said, "Do you know Mark Walmsley?" And I said no, and then we connected, and there's a lot of synergy there.
He's in your neck of the woods as well, isn't he? In
He is.
Essex.
That's weird too, because he's about 15 minutes from me.
Oh, that is close. I knew you were
Yeah,
close-ish, but I didn't know you were
yeah,
that
yeah,
close. That's
really close.
cool. That's brilliant. Well, this is coincidence that we say there is no such thing as when the universe wants people to get together and do stuff.
Mm,
So you've got all these wonderful dreams for this Crystal Kingdom to support young people. And to be fair, when you look at most of our educations, we didn't have lessons on how to cope with trauma or how to think and support ourselves mentally and emotionally. It was
mm,
just kind of stiff British upper lip and all that.
mm.
Um, so it's so wonderful that presumably you want your stories to be available to as many children as possible so they've got some access that they can get support for their emotions and their feelings, whatever they happen to be going through.
Yeah, so there's multiple layers here. As essentially the story itself started out as me really trying to equip my children with what I'd learned and what I'd been through, and
Mm,
putting those coping mechanisms and positive reinforcement messages into the book. I say this a lot. The book is called The Magical Secret of the Crystal Kingdom. And without spoiling the book, the magical secret of the Crystal Kingdom is that you matter. That is the magical secret.
yeah.
And the reason why it is a magical secret is it's so much more powerful if you realize that of yourself
Yes.
in your own way rather than someone telling you you're amazing,
Mm,
actually realizing it by a process of self-realization through having the mirror held up in the eyes of the characters in a story. So we run the programs, we deliver the programs to the school children, we ask them questions that lead them down that path to
mm.
the final question that we ask is, what have you learned today? And they will say, I've learned that I'm amazing just as I am. I've learned to believe in myself.
Oh,
I've learned that if things go wrong, I shouldn't give up. I just keep trying and I will get there, which is amazing to hear when they're 7 years old. They're
I
seven
can.
to 10 years old coming out with that. It's
How do you
really,
sit there in that school classroom or school hall or wherever you're talking and not, do this all the time because it's
I
just so
know.
powerful, isn't
And
it?
initially I did the delivery of the workshops, but
Mm.
we don't do that anymore. It's very rare that I will do it. We actually bring on board youth ambassadors who are
Oh,
generally aged between 12 and 16.
wow.
And we train them to go and deliver that program because when they deliver that program and see the reaction of those children, it gives them a boost of their own confidence, recognizing that they're doing something amazing
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It has a ripple effect.
Oh, I love that. The
And they go
whole,
home and tell their parents, and their
yeah.
parents see the difference. So it's really nice.
And that is a whole ripple effect because I bet the head teacher can see the difference in the school if that's gone through the school and the behavior and I would imagine incidences of, stress and all the rest of it will be lower. Incidences of like arguments and
Yeah.
playground kerfuffles that go on. I mean, I
Well,
used to be a primary school teacher, so I know how sometimes one little thing in one corner of the school can quickly
yes.
fly through.
We won't know for a long time the long-term impact of these programs, but the short-term impact is that they say those type of things and they go home with the packs that we provide them,
Yeah.
wanting to be read to, wanting to read the book, wanting to talk about things and play games that are included in the pack rather than go on their phone or go on their
Oh,
tablet.
well,
So
that's
the
just
parents then write into the school, thanking the school for the program. It's all free. So we provide it all. We provide every child with a pack. They keep that. The program's all free to the school. Everything's done with, the benefit in mind of
hmm
reaching as many children as we possibly can. And when they go home asking to be read to, the parents, they obviously see the difference. They see the reaction. The schools turn around and say to us things like, "We've never seen our children so engaged. Please, can you deliver this to all of our classes in all of our schools?" And
Yeah.
so again, that ripple effect and that demand is there. It's just making sure that we can deliver to as many as possible, and that
Mm.
requires us to generate revenue, generate income, which might be what you're referring to as the two hats that I wear.
Yes, of course. I mean, is this your idea where how you're funding it into schools? Was that your idea, or did somebody else come with the magic, oh, if you did it this way, this is a model that might work for you? How did it
Well,
come about?
so the idea came to me. I'm not going to say that it's mine, but it came to me to do it in that way. I think
Right.
again through my own life, through my own journey, I've seen a lot of haves and have-nots,
hmm
and I didn't want it to be that way. I wanted to figure out a way that we could be self-sufficient, self-funded, and create a win-win situation. And I
hmm
I do joke about it. I say we could sell pizzas if we wanted to
mm
generate the money.
mm.
Um, an older version of me that wouldn't have worked because I'd have eaten all the pizzas.
Yeah.
But it's important to understand, from my perspective anyway, that there's plenty of money, there's plenty of revenue available. It's
hmm
just providing people with what they want. And from my observations and the work that I've done, in my career prior to the Crystal Kingdom, is that all businesses, whether they're small, whether they're one-man bands, whether they're large, they want more clients. They
Yeah.
either want more customers, more share of the market or more market share. And in the whole share of customer thinking, they want that customer doing more business with them and more customers doing more business with them.
hmm
So because I've naturally worked with businesses, helping them to get more clients, I use that as the model to generate the revenue for what we do. So the businesses win because they get more clients. The schools win because they don't pay for the program. The children win because they get to recognize their own self-worth and amazingness and be equipped
Yeah.
for the challenges that life will throw at them. Everyone wins in that scenario. And the additional benefit is that the schools and the businesses in the local community can build a stronger relationship, which
Mm.
again helps those businesses in the local community thrive. It helps the parents of the children see those businesses as partners in their children's future as opposed to just a commercial entity.
Yeah.
So across the board, everyone wins.
I just that is my definition of a good collaboration, whereby it's not just a win, it's a win-win-win, and actually win-win-win, lots
Yes,
of wins that you don't even know about yet. It will have had
that's right.
a win impact on the teachers. It will have a win impact on the shop front or the landlord for the business, or so many other wins. Do you have a little logo that the businesses display to say we're part of the Crystal Kingdom or something like that, so people can acknowledge that, oh,
We
it's one of
do.
them, it's one of
Yeah,
ours?
we do.
Yeah,
So we provide them with a number of things that essentially identifies them as a partner and
yeah,
a collaborator in the children's mental health. But it is that ripple effect because by them helping, they're making an impact, which helps their mental health. It helps their sense of purpose.
yeah.
So it just keeps on going.
Yeah.
It's
And
very much a
also
ripple effect.
it's helping their marketing as well. I mean, you're talking about sales and closing sales, which everybody wants more of, but even just having a little logo in your shop window or on the bottom of your emails or wherever, and people get curious, but what's the Crystal Kingdom? Oh, that's this thing that we support to help children with good mental health. It's like, oh, okay. Well, am I going to do business with this nice person that's helping children? Am I going to do this business with this person that's just wanting my money? I think
Yeah,
I'll go with this person over here.
it's an
So
additional reason, isn't it? And it's someone described it to me as it's winning people's hearts,
yeah,
which a lot of businesses, especially big businesses, spend a lot of money trying to do. This really does do that because, as I mentioned, the parents write in saying thank you. When I've spoken to parents at schools
mm.
in the run up to our programs, they've been in tears.
Oh,
They thank you because they know that their children are going through difficulties. And
yeah,
if they're not, they can relate to it because they wish that they had something like that when they were at school.
yeah. And I think we've all been through times as school is a tough place, isn't it? It's
Mm,
just such a tough place. When I was a primary school teacher, I remember we started an early bird club for children that had various learning difficulties. And one mother came in exactly as you're saying to say thank you, but she was in tears. She said, today is the first day my son has skipped into school.
mm,
Normally, I've had to drag him out of the house kicking and screaming. And she said, I just can't thank you enough. And it is that release of pressure on parents when they know that their kids are, going somewhere where they're being really cared for, not
mm.
just minded, but looked after in all aspects of their being. It makes such a huge difference to the parents and everybody. What are your ambitions now, apart from turning the book into a film? How many schools have you gone into so far? Are you in the UK? Have you gone further than UK? What's your next ambition as far as the schools are concerned?
So it's all nicely laid out and we're working through the plan. So we've done all of the proof of concept, proof of delivery. We've worked with a few schools. It's still in low digit numbers. When we went into the first school, it cost us £2,500 to
Hmm.
deliver to a class of 30 children. We had to find that money from somewhere. And when the school turned around and asked for us to deliver that to all the classes in all of their classes in all of their schools, I asked how many schools they had, and they said they had 63 schools. And
Whoa.
times that by four classes, times that by 2,500, you
Yeah.
can see that that was a lot. So
Yeah.
we had to work on a larger strategic plan
At
of
least you
how
know
we
the
were going to.
demand was there. That was good. I was
Yeah, the
like, tick that
demand's
box.
definitely demand's definitely there, and it ticks a lot of boxes for its mental health, its literacy, its confidence,
Yeah.
its well-being. So, um, and it creates that win-win for the children, for the teachers, for the youth ambassadors, for the parents,
Mm,
etc. So our 5-year plan, which will start when we get through our current phase. I'm not sure how long this current phase will take us. We're in a proof of scale phase where we are testing what it looks like when we work with multiple schools at the same time, multiple businesses at
mm,
the same time. In terms of our numbers, we've delivered to between 30 and 50 children a year for the last 5 years.
Wow.
And this year, this quarter alone, we've delivered to over 300 children. So it's taken a sharp increase. And
Yeah.
I expect us to end the year in excess of 1,200 children that we've helped. After that, we'll move into our 5 year plan, which is to deliver to 10% of the schools in the UK in a 5 year period.
Hmm.
Each year that we stay on track, we'll look to go into other countries in the Anglosphere, from Ireland to Canada, US,
Yeah.
Australia, New Zealand,
Yeah.
South Africa, and then we'll assess where we're at. Each of
Wow.
those will start with the proof of scale, then the
Yeah.
5 year delivery plan. But there's a lot of schools in this country and around the world, and it's not just English speaking schools, and
Mm.
it's not just using the magical secret of the Crystal Kingdom as a uh, storytelling workshop. We're looking to deliver music workshops, art workshops, food workshops, sports workshops,
Mm.
working with other content providers and helping them with the financial side to deliver, so that again it doesn't put a strain on the school's budgets.
Yes, yes, because that's always the first thing. We've got so many people in Collaboration Global that want to work with schools, but we know that most of them just get the straight, nope, sorry, budget's gone. Come back
Yes,
next year and we'll let you know. And it is very tight. And so many of them can't even find the money to repair the building, let alone do anything within the building, like
that's right.
education. It's
So
crazy.
we're using money that's already there in the
Yes.
commercial world. We're just repurposing it.
So, you're going to be pretty busy, what with Mr. Spielberg knocking on your door to turn it into a movie. I don't know how you're going to cope with that. Um, we're one away from Richard Osman, so I'm sure he can introduce you to Mr. Spielberg, who's just done his latest movie.
Great.
Um,
I've told Stephen that he's got to wait. No,
oh,
no.
okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, you'll be flooded with offers. I think it's such a
Yeah.
it makes such sense to go from where you are to then make it a global phenomenon, and it's just
Mm.
what I love about it, Paul, is I know it's not simple, but the simplicity of it, it's this circular economy. What's going to go around comes around. That these businesses are getting a win, and you're translating that into great outcomes for the schools as well. It's just like, why aren't other people doing this? It's just, have you sold the idea? Have you sold the business model at all? Shared
So
with anyone?
again, for me, it's about momentum. It's about having the right pieces in place, which
Yeah.
we've been working on the foundations of this and building at the same time for the last 5 years.
Mm.
And as the saying goes, it takes years to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
And so that's really how it feels to me. It feels like we're constantly working behind the curtain, and
Mm.
suddenly we'll be at a stage where it just comes out of the ground and
Yeah.
starts working for everybody. The businesses
Yeah.
that work with us, they're having success.
Good.
Uh, the programs are being very well received, and it's just about continuing to put the one foot in front of the other and build on that and get to the momentum. And once we hit momentum, then I think it will change
Mm.
significantly.
For sure. Is there anything missing in your plan at the moment that you think, you need to talk to this person or you need to speak to that person that will make it easier for you, or are you just kind of like taking each day as it comes and you've got your plan set out and you're good to go?
It's always good to have more conversations with schools. It's always
Hmm.
good to have more conversations with businesses, um, and delivery partners such as youth charities. We can really help by working in partnership with them. So it's always good to have those conversations. There's lots of things that are laid out. There's lots of things that we thought of. There's been a great team that's been supporting what we're doing strategically and on an advisory basis. But like everything, we won't have thought of everything. What we don't particularly need is more ideas. What we
No.
need is more action.
I've been there
Um,
where lots of people like to give you their opinions, don't they?
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
always good to take things on board. And one of the strategic team said, "That's great. We'll put that in the incubator. We'll take that on board. We're not dismissing it.
No.
That's going in the queue. We've got enough work that needs to be done to last us several natural lifetimes, and we're working through that work. So the real things that can make a difference are businesses that want to grow, want to make an impact,
Hmm.
want to support their community, want to reach more clients, that are interested in working with us to grow their client base and make an impact at the same time. And we have programs for every type of business, from a micro or ultra micro business, one man band, through to small SMEs, large SMEs, and corporates.
Mm. So what are the sort of problems that you find they are coming up against that are the ones that they should go, oh, I need to talk to Paul?
That's a good question. The biggest thing I think that business owners recognize and want is more referrals and more word of mouth
Hmm.
customers. That if you ask a business owner where do you get your best business from, it will be generally from word of mouth,
Yeah, for
from
sure.
recommendations, from referrals.
Yeah.
And so we can help them build a sustainable pipeline of referrals.
Mm. And that is the change that we're seeing at the moment, where people used to maybe get their clients from pushing out on social media. I've got 10,000 followers or 20,000 or 100,000. I just put out a spread of things and they come to me, and then, I'm earning income while I'm asleep. Not so much these days, I find. The responses that we get from social media, certainly, whether the algorithms are changing or whatever reason there is, I think people are busy um, finding out that everything is kind of slowing down in that sphere. They're not getting the same responses. People are not as addictive to their social media as perhaps they once were. So this word of mouth stuff is like going back to old school, but it's like that's how it's always worked. And people forget that's how it always worked. That's how you started your business, by doing the word of mouth stuff, by going out to meet people and face to face, as well as the online things. You kind of can't rely on social media in the same way that you used to. So I think what you're teaching people is that things that they've forgotten, things that they maybe used to do, don't do anymore, and having those conversations that they've forgotten. And most people don't realize that the best source of renewable income is to go back to your old clients. Because if they were
Mm.
happy with you, which they genuinely are, they're going to be happy to recommend you to someone, and you've got another ongoing source. But they find it really difficult to have those conversations, so it's finding a way to do that. um
I say that it's important to do both. Yeah, it's important to kind of have a farming strategy, a hunting strategy, a
yeah,
short-term strategy, a long-term strategy, and just to take the consistent actions with both. However, over time, for me, nothing is more powerful than a word of mouth referral marketing strategy.
yeah, yeah, for sure. How did you earn this wisdom? Where did it come from? What business have you been in that means that you're the guy to go to for sales?
So this might sound a bit weird, but I didn't realize until maybe a few years ago, I don't remember any particular point, but I realized that I was doing these things naturally. They were a talent of mine.
Hmm.
So I worked, my background was in financial services. I worked in retail banking, and from the very start, I always got more sales than anyone else.
Right.
And I didn't realize that I was doing anything particularly different, because on paper I was doing the same things.
Hmm.
But when you look more closely, there were lots of micro actions that I was taking that I was just doing naturally. No one really taught me how to do it. I
Right.
was just doing it. And when I then was asked by other businesses and other colleagues to help them do the same, over time, I would say what to do, but the results for them weren't the same.
Ah,
And it wasn't until I was much more into my career that I looked back and saw that I was doing certain things differently, which then I've broken down and put into
yeah.
a group call format where I take people through those steps.
Right.
And the trouble is, um, so I'm just going to throw myself under the bus a little bit because someone said if they want something done, give it to a lazy person.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that I was inherently lazy in a way.
Uh-huh.
And I figured out early on how to do things from a sales perspective
Uh-huh.
in a much more effective way
Yeah.
than others. And
Yeah.
so I figured it out and realized that I was getting results from following certain steps that to me meant I would be over my target for the quarter in 2 days
And then you
and
could be
things
off.
like that. And then I wouldn't do much else after that.
Yeah.
And it became a little bit of a game. And
Yeah.
eventually I ran my own business and used that strategy to grow my own business and help others. Um, but the whole thing really is you for a long time you don't see the benefits of what you're doing. Again, it perhaps like farming. You
Mm.
plant seeds and you water them for a long time
Mm.
before you see any growth. And so what lots of people in business get frustrated about is they say, I'm having lots of nice conversations, but they're not really turning into business.
Yeah.
The truth is they are turning into business. That is what a healthy pipeline looks like. And you have to continue with those actions. And if you continue with those actions, you keep filling the funnel
Yeah.
toward the top of the funnel stuff, the more people you speak to, the more good conversations you have, the more contacts you make, the more relationships you build, the more engagement you get, the more times you do that, people will eventually transform into prospects for your business
Mm.
or promoters for your business.
Yeah.
And if you create the right environment, people will buy from you. If you create the wrong environment, the wrong culture, the wrong um, uh yeah the wrong environment, the wrong conditions,
Hmm.
people will run from you.
Yeah.
They
Absolutely.
feel
The
like they're
classic
being
is
chased.
the old double glazing salesman that used to knock on the door and not leave your living room until you'd signed on the dotted line. I mean,
That's right.
anyone that's trying to pressure anybody like 10 years after that was fashionable would
Yes.
be like, that you're not even coming over the threshold, mate. I'm not even having a conversation. So you kind of,
Yes.
yeah, you can't
So
push people.
it looks like it's working in the short term, but in the long term it's doing a lot of damage.
Mm,
And so you just need to do the opposite. And I sometimes say to people, Stephen Hendry, the snooker player, the first
hmm.
time he played on a full-size table, apparently scored a break of something like 70.
All right.
And he was obviously naturally talented at that and practiced a lot to become, the best of what he was doing. And so you can practice, but you have to know what the steps are. And if he tried to teach me snooker, I would be spectacularly bad at it for a very long time.
Yeah, as long as
Like
you're having
most
fun
sports.
doing it.
Yeah. Well, they might be having fun.
Yeah, yeah. It is interesting that a lot of people don't like picking the phone up, don't like having those conversations, don't want to hear that it's going to take time. And then they still have a moan that I've got no clients. And
Yeah.
it's
No
like,
one wants to be a pushy salesperson. And
no.
so, again, I absolutely didn't want to be that at
No.
all.
No.
But I love people. So all I've ever done is talk to people and build relationships.
Hmm.
And over time, if they're interested in what you have, they will buy from you.
Yeah.
And
And
if they're not, they won't.
why would you want someone to buy from you if they're not interested? If they've been because what ends up happening is they don't become your raving fan. They become somebody that's anti you because I didn't want it in the first place. I don't know why I bought it, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
And then, so you're not doing yourself any favors
No,
by doing a hustle
no,
sale.
that's right.
Um, and I've had a few of those in my time where people have just pushed and pushed. It's like, oh, stop it. I'm not interested. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And it, it spoils the relationship. So when I say to people when they come onto Collaboration Global sessions and they get to speak, we have some guest speakers and I say, don't sell. We are not selling here. I might show off about you if I want to, and you can give me a link and I'll post that link, but don't you sell yourself. And so many
Yeah, it's
people
different.
don't hear that. And
Yeah.
I've said it face to face like this, and they don't hear it. And then I'm sitting in a meeting and they're selling themselves. And if you want to contact me here and do this, and then I've got this going on, I've got, stop it. Stop
Mm.
it. You're just ruining it for yourself. And other people, you can see them going over it on the screen. You can go, they're switching off.
Yeah.
They're not listening anymore. It is an art. And I think a lot of people who consider themselves to be introverts would say, that's not my bag. But actually, sometimes so-called introverts, and I don't like putting labels on people because I think we're both. We're introvert and extrovert and omnivert and everything in between. But I think introverts can be the best salespeople because they're good at listening. And
Mm.
that's what sales is generally all about, is you're listening for whatever the problem is that that person has and whether you've got the ability to solve that problem for them. Um,
They're assessing whether they trust you.
yeah, that's true.
Mm.
And trust is something that has to be earned. You
Yes.
don't get that in your first cold call.
No. And if if you are the one that's doing most of the talking, there's no there's no chance or little chance of them trusting you.
Mm. There is an art to it, isn't there? For sure. And like you say, you were given this gift. And sometimes just because you're good at something doesn't mean say you like it and doesn't mean say it's your genius. It just means you've worked out how to get good at something. But when it's your gift, and I didn't realize I had a similar thing for me when I was working with my husband, and he said he wanted so many meetings, and I was part of the marketing of the company, which now serves schools across the country, just as a by the by.
Mm.
Um, and he would say he wanted so many meetings every month. So he told me, you need to ring this many companies and get this many yeses, and then this will translate into me. And I said, well, how many do you need? He said, well, 5, maybe 10 a week would be great. Okay. And he reckoned it would take me the best part of 4 days to get those meetings set up. It took me roughly an hour
Mm.
because I was lazy, exactly
Yeah.
the same as you. And I probably would ring, if he needed 10 meetings, I'd probably ring 25 people because I got bored otherwise and I would be useless to anybody. But having those conversations and finding out if we can supply and would you like to have a chat? Yeah, let's have a proper chat. Okay, I'll get him to give you a call. That was all it took to set the meetings up.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that until I was in a coaching session. I thought everybody did that.
Right.
And I thought my husband was mad. Why would you ring 100 people? That's crazy. Because he'd been taught old school. You have to
Mm.
go through so many no's before you get to a yes.
Yeah.
And I was on a coaching call. We had a business coach at the time. And so there was like a dozen of us businesses in the call, um, face to face at the time. And we were going around the room and everyone was saying how their sales routine was. And I told them mine. Everyone kind of went, what? And that's when I went, what do you mean? I'm not lying. This is what I do.
Mm.
And they just couldn't believe it. Oh, it take me hours to get that many people to say yes.
Mm.
And it's just if you've got it, you've got it. And it's as you say, if you're a people person and you're interested in other people and what they're up to and what they're doing, they'll have a phone call with someone to book a
Yeah.
meeting.
Well, it's pushing for open doors. And if
That's
you
such a
speak to
great
people that,
phrase.
if you speak to people that already want to speak to you,
Yeah.
if you do it in the right way, you can find out who wants to speak to them that they already know that would speak to you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, rather than trying to sell to the person in front of you, which you should never do.
No.
You never sell.
Mm,
This is the difference. The sales machine is about sales without selling.
yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, the translation of sales is helping someone solve a problem.
Yeah,
And if they don't have the problem that you can solve, then don't waste their time.
that's right.
Mm. Changing the subject slightly,
Mm.
because you've covered a lot in your career. You've done sales, you've worked in the financial industry, you've had a studio where you've been connected to musicians, and now we're on to the Crystal Kingdom and all that that involves. I love
Mm.
the fact you've done a novel. Can't wait to read it. Um, what was young Paul like when he was at home? Where did you grow up? Who did you grow up with? What's a happy memory for you when you were, say, 8 or 9?
Um, so yeah, so I grew up the first kind of couple of years of my life, my parents lived with my nan and granddad.
Oh, that's
We lived
nice.
there. So it's a
Yeah.
very bustling family house, which I don't remember as a very young child, but I remember as I grew up spending time there and seeing what that place was like. That very much was felt like my home, my nan and granddad's house.
Oh, that's nice.
Um, Growing up with my mum and dad, I was an only child until I was 9. So a very happy memory was my little brother, my first little
Oh,
brother. I have two younger brothers. Unfortunately, we also lost my middle brother. So, but
oh,
when my brother came home as a baby, I remember it very vividly.
mm.
And yeah, that was a very happy memory. His was Mark, and I had a make-believe friend when I was little called Mark. And so
Oh.
eventually when my brother came along and was called Mark, it's quite mad.
Did your
Yeah.
mum and dad know about your make-believe friend?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
They
they,
probably yeah.
oh,
There's probably a link there somewhere.
that's
Um,
lovely.
yeah, but my childhood as a family, I was very loved, but we lived somewhere very chaotic and messy,
Mm.
which taught me a lot about life.
Did you know that at the time? Were you feeling that it was chaotic, or did you just think, well,
No,
everyone's life is like this?
yeah, so I went to a school where half the children came from somewhere similar to me, and the other half of the children came from somewhere much more wealthy and affluent. So
Hmm.
um, I noticed things at school, when people would say, "What did you get for Christmas?" And some of the kids would say, "Oh, we went to Disneyland for 2 weeks, and I got a bike, and I got a computer, and I got this, that, and the other," and they were my friends.
Yeah,
And then another of my friends would say, "I got a banana,"
yeah,
so there was very much
yeah. Have and have not.
a difference. Yeah. Um, so I think um, for me, it definitely created a lot of empathy
Mm,
and an understanding. And it wasn't really until my teens when we moved away from that area that I started to realize how different it was
mm.
to what a lot of other people experienced.
It's interesting, isn't it?
So
Yeah, go
sorry,
on.
there was a big age gap between me and my brothers. So my youngest brother Adam, he's 10 years younger than me.
Hmm.
Almost to the day because our birthdays are in he's 11 years. Our birthdays are a week apart, but 11 years apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you have joint birthday parties?
Well, I'd left home, so that I was kind of doing my thing. I left home
Yeah.
when I was 16,
Oh,
um,
wow.
and my brothers were still very much just, not even at school or
No,
just starting school. Um, so yeah, their birthday parties were very different to mine.
I'll bet. So if you left home at
At that point,
16, what was it? Was it a choice that you felt you could make? I mean, 16 is quite young, isn't it? Even,
it is young. Yeah, I was quite driven to do my own thing and go my own way.
yeah.
And my parents were moving, and I didn't want to move. I didn't want to move out
Oh,
of the area. So
yeah,
I asked if I could go and stay at my friends, and they rented a room to me, and I was already working at that point.
yeah.
Um, and then eventually I ended up living at my nan and granddad's for 3 years.
Oh,
So about a year on my own, kind of renting a room, and then moved in with my grandparents.
I bet your mum and dad were pleased that you'd gone back to Nan and Granddad.
Yeah, exactly. And I still saw my parents, I still went to see them all the time.
Yeah,
But I think perhaps because my parents were very young when they had me and, had their own place, I just always had it in my mind that I was going to go and do my own thing
yeah,
and
yeah. It's
not hang
unusual, but
around.
uh, it's unusual for a guy to leave home quite so early, I think. A lot of women go off and do it because they're just ready to rock and roll.
Mm,
But I think, as you say, it's something within you. You just, I mean, I left home at 18,
mm,
not much later, but still looking to do something with my life and not
mm.
understanding quite what it was, but I knew I had to kind of move somewhere to get the ball rolling and crack on. I ended up working for local government, which is probably not the best thing to do.
Right.
But you get there in the end. So yeah, it's interesting how the way you view life and that you had this kind of something burning inside of you. You needed to get on and get
Mm.
cracking. So it's amazing to think of what you've created in the relatively short space of time for what you're doing and how you're doing it. When you realized you wanted to help children to support them and be mentally, emotionally self-sufficient, was that coming from anything that you'd experienced as a child or a younger person, or was it just something that you realized you see as a problem out there that you wanted to help with?
Um, I think it's more a realization in adulthood of feeling like I wasn't really doing what I wanted to do, which is quite ironic because I always felt like I was very confident and independent
Hmm.
and made my own choices for sure. The thing is, I think I made choices based on what I thought was going to make me successful, as opposed to what I really loved to do and what I really enjoyed to do, and what if someone had sat me down and explained what my options were, I would have chosen to do, as opposed
Mm.
to that person's earning money. If I do that, I'm going to earn money. That person's doing that. They've got a nice car. If I do that, I'm going to have a nice car. That was where my thinking was. For
Yeah.
me, although I absolutely am not money driven, I certainly was.
Mm.
And um, so I think, like I said, it was about realizing that I'd been through a lot of challenges. I'd been through a lot of struggles, as many people have. I went through a period of losing a number of my family and relatives and friends in various different ways in bereavement, either tragedies or um, illness. I went through a period of time when everything that I felt was making up my identity, my profession, my business, my home, my marriage, my religion, my faith, everything went,
Well,
literally everything. And I remember a particular time just thinking, nothing, no, this is not going very well. Was my thought process. Maybe I need to look at things differently. And I started to look at things differently. And that was when I realized that I hadn't been really true to what I wanted to do.
mm,
And so I wondered what that was. I mean, I've always been a very confident person,
mm,
but even so, I think that was a confidence that perhaps was, um, you know, for want of a better expression, a false
like
confidence.
bravado.
Yeah, it wasn't conscious.
Mm,
It wasn't a conscious thing. It was very much what I thought was the right thing to do.
yeah.
And but life was showing me a different way. That's the only way I can describe it. And
Mm,
so rather than it being certainly reflecting on my childhood, then motivated me to put certain things in place for the Crystal Kingdom. But I think the catalyst was what I'd learned about life as an adult, that I wanted to relay to others and help them
mm.
see from a young age the things that I'd learned at a much later stage in my life.
Yeah, yeah. It's understanding the wisdom that we hold and realizing that it's not something we can keep for ourselves.
Mm,
We need to share it. And I think everyone comes to a point in their life, and if you're lucky, you come to that point in your life when you're 12 or 13.
mm,
And sometimes you're not till you're 53 or 54.
sure.
That is like, am I happy doing this? And you're like, no, this is not making me happy. Yes, I'm good at it. Yes, I'm successful at it. That's not doing it for me. That's not
Mm,
the thing that's actually lighting my fire. When was the
mm,
last time I did light my fire? And you think back and you go, wow. And then you realize that what is important to you. And for a long time, your purpose in life, for me anyway, was family, my
mm,
daughters. And then they go off and you're like, well, I've kind of done my job there. They're
mm.
successful, they're happy. You look them in the face, you hold their face in your hands. Are you happy? Yes, mum, I'm happy. Okay, you're good to go. You can go now.
Yeah.
But then you're like, well, am I happy? And then when you realize that you're not and you're pushing against the same rock, then
Mm,
you have to work out, what do I need to do to realize that I'm here for a reason and I'm supposed to make a difference in the world. And that's the
mm,
whole purpose of Collaboration Global,
mm,
bringing people like yourself who have worked out what their mission is,
mm,
works out what their purpose is, and they're on that journey. And it's like, well, let's all come together and help each other a little bit. And we might have no idea of how to help you with yours, but there'll be somebody in the community that can just shed a bit of light on that and shed a bit of light on that. And the same for you, you'll be able to shed light on their situation. And when you know that you're all coming together for the greater good, it just makes everybody grow another 6 inches and
mm,
empowered to go that extra mile, because it's not easy doing something that other people look at you and go, that's a bit, what are you doing that for? That's a
mm,
bit too, you're never going to be successful at that. And there's always going to be the detractors and the people that think you're crazy.
mm.
My biggest criticism, people say to me, oh, you're so optimistic, Jill, for goodness sake. And I'm like, isn't that a good thing? Being
Yeah.
optimistic? Just, why shouldn't we be optimistic? And that's why I still see the best in everyone. And I'm really disappointed because that's my outlook on life. And I think when you bring good people together, it just, you can feel the connection in your soul that these amazing, incredible people are struggling or being wildly successful, but they're doing it not for themselves as individuals, but for those they know they're going to help, that they've probably never met and
Mm,
may never meet. Especially in your situation, there are going to be hundreds of thousands of children around the world that you may never meet,
mm,
and they will be so grateful. It might even save their lives, the fact that they picked up that novel, that book, that
mm,
they were on a course, that they, whatever it is, they saw the movie,
mm,
and you're responsible for that. But at the moment, you're at the tough end, the pointy end of getting it all done.
mm,
And I'm just so in awe of your plan and your mission and your passion, and for all the children that you are going to help in the world. I think it's an incredible story, Paul, and I wish you every success with it.
Thank you so much. I
And
appreciate
I
it.
just pray that Collaboration Global can be a small part of that success along the way in any which way. We don't know how yet, but we'll find a way of making us connected forever, hopefully.
Yes.
If anyone's listening to this and they would like to support you in any way, or they would like to get in touch, what's the easiest way for them to get hold
Certainly, just come onto the website, which is ckse.org.uk.
CKSE? Crystal
Crystal
Kingdom
Kingdom Social Enterprise.
Social
But
Enterprise.
that's a
Thank you.
lot to type. So
No, it's
CK.
right. I'm just
UK.
wondering how we remember SE. I didn't realize it was social enterprise. Thank you. Yes. And obviously we'll put the links down there as well, and they can have a chat with you. Or more importantly, if you come along to a Collaboration Global session, you'll probably find Paul there. He's popping in every so often.
Yeah.
We have them every month, and you can find them at collaborationglobal.org, or you can go to Eventbrite and find us there as well. Any last thoughts that you'd like to share on your wonderful journey, Paul, before we go? I mean, I'm sure we're going to have part 2 of this at some point as well, but anything you'd like to share before we
Yeah,
close?
multiple parts. Just a thank you. I've already attended a few of the Collaboration Global meetings. The people in there are amazing, and I'd recommend it to anyone.
Bless you. Thank you so much, Paul. And I'm sure we will see you again very soon. Take care.
Thanks.